Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Now for a listen from our sponsors.
Guys, if you want to learn how to work smarter and get the best performance out of your Yellow Jacket tools and equipment, go to yellowjacket.com and check out their how-to training videos. You'll find the best vacuum pump operation practices, how to recalibrate your P51-870 manifold. There's also videos on rebuilding your Series 41 manifold. There's leak detector sensor troubleshooting and replacement, how to avoid oil contamination in vacuum gauges, cleaning your vacuum gauge sensor, and different leak detection methods, and much, much more. Guys, Yellow Jacket has been serving our industry in many more ways than just tools and hoses. So go to yellowjacket.com to grab this information so you can work smarter, not just harder, with Yellow Jacket. 66 years of expertise built into every tool. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the USA. And I'd also like to thank all of our global listeners in other parts of the world. We appreciate you guys as well. On to the show.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt, crank up the volume, and try not to be offended, because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast with Gil Cavey and Kelly McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelly.
What's up? What is up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 29 of the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Happy to be there. It's yours truly, Mr. Gil F. Cavey, sitting alongside my good buddy and the confidant, Mr. Kelly McKay. What's up, bro?
What's happening, bro?
Same old shiza. Dealing with Facebook drama.
Yeah, I've seen some of that happening behind the scenes.
But it's all good, man. It's one of them things where I feel like I got to repeat myself a million times. You know, maybe it's my dumb fault for choosing the name of the podcast for HVAC Uncensored. I don't know, because we've said a million times that the uncensored part of it means that me and Kelly will give our uncensored opinion on topics in our trade. That is where the uncensored comes from. The Facebook group is named after the podcast. Does not say, hey, rejects, come here and let's hear what you had to say. That's not what that means. But that's what happens. But I don't sweat it, because out of almost 11,000 guys, which is awesome, it's a small percentage. It really is. It seems like a big percentage, but it's a small percentage of those fucktards that are in there. So
yeah, it's like
it's
like going to any training class and you got one idiot that asks the dumbest questions and then continues to talk and take all of the trainer's time and basically just waste time for the class. You know, there's always that one guy. And there's always that one guy. If you have a YouTube channel, there's always that one guy that bashes you every time you post something. And it's no different in the group. You're going to have those one guys, and when you got 11,000 of them, you're bound to have a couple of bad apples in the bunch once in a while. So we just try to do our best at finding those. Really appreciate you guys red flagging these people, especially. I know I kicked one person out that they're just strictly there to market to people. And so, and I don't even remember what the business was, but it was clear that was his only intention. So we just booted him out. And I know besides for things like that happening, there's also going to be just the bad apples that always got to talk shit on everybody. No matter what you say, you can't win an argument with them. And all I can tell you is they're miserable people.
Yeah. I mean, and guys, I know our group has gotten a little out of hand, and I've had some guys reach out to me, and I want them to be honest that, they're like, man, I don't feel like I can post in here, Gil. And it kills me to hear that. It really does. If I have to, do addition by subtraction, I will. Obviously, for the podcast, we like that group, numbers growing. But if the numbers start to affect the quality of the group, then we'll change. We'll change it. It's that simple. I want guys to be able to learn. And like me and Kelly always say, we are not fucking know-it-alls. We just pass on knowledge that we have. It doesn't mean that it's the end all be all, but we just want to give knowledge that can help other people. And it has. Because if you guys could see the emails that me and Kelly get thanking us, that's why we do this, man. There's enough guys saying, dude, thank you for what you do and stuff like that. That's all that matters. I don't know, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to start off
No,
on
I will
a
say
negative
one
light
thing
like
is
that.
that there's a lot of times I see new Facebook groups pop up all the time, and a lot of times that's what they start off by saying is that, hey, no bashing allowed in this group and blah blah blah. Well, there's no bashing allowed in our group either. And the bottom line is you can't stop it. You're gonna get some bashing. All you can do is do your best to monitor it and to kick those out that aren't being supportive of the other people in the group. But you can say all you want. I don't care who you are or what group you're starting. I've seen probably 4 different groups pop up over the last year, and they all say the same thing. It's all, hey, this is a supportive group and blah, blah, blah. And I love that and I respect that. But the bottom line is, when you get 11,000 people in there, you're sooner or later you're going to let a bad apple in. Not intentionally, but it's just going to happen. So there is no such thing as a group out there that has no bashing.
Yeah, no, unless you do a group that's like invite only, which is kind of hard unless it's just you and some buddies that there's really no way to police that. I mean, we try, man. We have a good group of moderators. The other admin, Brian Lee. I mean, we try our best, and we want people to speak their minds. I'm not saying people can't speak their minds, and I'm not going to kick somebody out for disagreeing with you or disagreeing with somebody
Absolutely.
else.
Yeah.
It's just about how you carry yourself afterwards. If you're, never mind. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
that,
We can
but
move on.
yeah,
Just,
but it's the things you do besides that is what says, hey, if I feel like it's creating too much of a headache and taking away from what we're trying to do, then yeah, I'm going to remove somebody.
all we can say is that we're going to do our best, and all you can do is just report the people who aren't in there to serve each other, and we'll do our best to eliminate those people so we can keep it clean. I mean, I know it's uncensored, but you know what I mean. Keep it clean as far as keeping the ass wipes away.
Yeah, well, and also, guys, and another thing is, don't think that if you report something or send something to me that I'm just going to immediately kick a person out, because I'm not.
Yeah,
Like I just said before, if you guys get into a debate and you lose, or this guy proves you wrong, or he calls you an asshole or something, which let's hope we don't have to do that. We're all fucking grown adults. We can just make our point without becoming combative. But that's not grounds to kick somebody out. Okay. So I just want to let you know, because some people send me stuff and I don't do anything with it. If you think about it, in our group, though, there really has not been that many people that have been removed.
no.
I can probably count on one hand, because I don't like to do that. I really don't. But
You're going to get different perspectives. I mean, if you're brave enough to post something in there, you're going to get some different perspectives, and I would hope that you're open to that and open to some new ideas and perspectives, if you choose to post something. You shouldn't be afraid to post something. There's a difference between constructive criticism and just flat being a prick. And so it's just our job to try our best to determine, what the intentions are.
yeah, I mean, and as far as like Kelly said earlier, Kelly's a lot bigger than me on YouTube. I haven't really done that much besides like the podcast and some live streams. But when I first decided to do some YouTube stuff and to start podcasting, I knew that there was going to be people that didn't disagree. There's always going to be those
Oh yeah.
naysayers. When you put yourself out there into mass media and stuff like this, there's always going to be people that don't agree with you, people that are going to start shit, and you can't worry about
No.
that. Like I told another person, I said, for every person like you that gives me shit, I have 20 emails of people that are thanking me for what we do and stuff like that. So you got to concentrate on that good stuff. You can't let those hiccups and those assholes kind of bring you down, because then you'll never want to do this. That's not what you can concentrate on. And I won't. I refuse to.
Yeah, it's like Art Williams gave a speech, and he's talking about his wife. I know this is a little bit random, but it kind of ties into it. He's like, he's talking about, I love my wife, but I don't like her all the time, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, we love everybody in the group, but we don't have to like you all the time. So just try to be
Yeah.
genuine in your post, and that's all we can ask for. And yeah,
Yeah. And it's one of the things, man. Like if you think a guy asks a dumb question and you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Just scroll past it. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Just don't even indulge the person and just move on. But when you go on there to make that comment, oh, this is a dumb fucking post, now you've just engaged yourself in something that you were bitching about. So
Yeah, well, the thing about trolls is there's one for everything, right? I mean, there's trolls out there. They're keyboard warriors out there talking shit. And the bottom line is, if they're so damn smart and they've got so much to offer and share, like by all means, get your ass out there, post some YouTube videos, start your own podcast, get out there and teach. If you know so damn much, get out there and share it with others. That's how I feel.
well, no, I agree too. But
I mean that in a very respectful way. I'm not trying to like challenge you. I'm just saying if you've got some stuff to share and you've got a strong passion for what you're sharing, then get it out there. Don't just criticize other people. It's so easy to criticize other people.
well, and the other thing is if you know we've already talked about this before, though. It's just like if you're a smart guy, like there's a lot of smart guys out there. It's like why not help people and pass on your knowledge? Like, I just think it's people that, that are good techs. I mean, some of these guys, they're smart dudes. They're assholes, but they know what they're doing. I will give credit where credit is due. But rather than guide somebody or point them in the right direction, they tear other people down. Like it makes them feel smarter. Like, what the fuck does that accomplish? Like, I don't need to make myself feel better by making somebody else feel dumb. It's just, I don't know. And like I've said a million times, and I'll say it again, is I don't know everything. I still learn stuff all the time. But I think I know enough to be able to pass it on to somebody and help them grow.
Sure, in certain situations and instances, there's going to be things also that I've never experienced and you've never experienced, and by all means, chime in. Just be constructive with it. Don't be a prick about it. So that's the bottom line.
Yes, it is. But anyway, enough of that. We hope everybody is having a good week thus far. Kelly is getting ready to go to Texas to see Texas while he's there. But I think Justin's like a hobbit. I think he's little. I saw that picture of him and his niece, and she's as tall as he is.
I don't know. I'll find out. We'll get some selfies together. I'm looking forward to visiting with him. It'll probably be first part of next week before I come back through, and have a chance to stop in and say hi to him. Hopefully take him out to eat or something. He had reached out actually through the group. I don't know what the post was about, but he was struggling with something. He reached out through the group, and then we started, direct messaging each other. And then I got his phone number, and then we started talking. And it's been about a year now. It was about this time of year that he was struggling with his business, and I just I helped him break some of his limiting beliefs, and man, he doubled his business last year. I'm not saying that to brag or anything. He already had the foundation. Like he's a superstar. He had the foundation for it, and he just needed a couple little tweaks to make shit happen. Thankfully, he took something that I said. I can't even tell you what I said exactly, but he took something to heart and actually did it. And that's what happens when you take some criticism, some constructive criticism from somebody, and take some advice from somebody who's actually been there and been in pain for many years. And they can share what they did to get past that pain so their business could actually start growing. And he did it, and I'm super proud of him. I'm excited to see him. I told him if he hit $1 million last year, I would come see him. And just so happens I have this little business conference I'm going to, and he's like right on the way. So I will definitely stop in and see him.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, we guys, if you don't know, we have a previous podcast where it says with Justin Medley. That's who we're talking about. That's who he's going to go see in Texas. Well, he's going there for something else, and he's going to see him. But yeah, man, Justin's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
He really is. I actually got introduced to him from.
I just said, oh yeah, he is real good guy.
Oh yeah, I got introduced to him actually from John when I was podcasting with him, and then me and him just kind of clicked. And I don't talk to him nearly as much as you do. Every once in a while, he used to call me for like his carrier tech support. But he is a good-hearted guy, man, and I'm glad to see him doing good because he definitely deserves it. So whatever you told him is awesome, and I would love to have the opportunity to meet him again. My wife, we're thinking about going to a vacation in Texas this year. So if I do, I wouldn't mind being able to see him, even if it's for a brief moment.
He's in the Dallas area. So even if you're just flying through, if for some reason you decide to fly.
Yeah, well, we'll probably fly into Houston because my sister-in-law lives in Katy, Texas, but my buddy lives in Joshua, Texas, which I think is up closer to Dallas. So we would have to rent a car and drive regardless. So yeah, we can make it work.
Sure. Do you want to talk about the latest Bruno Total Home Comfort thing going on?
Yes. Late breaking news coming to you live from the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Kelly, take it away.
So Lewis posted in the group, and he just says, I'm going to imagine that none of those posts existed. Not going to go back and review what was said because as an industry, we can't help ourselves. What happened to me can happen to you today. It's pure ignorance not to think so. You don't even know what it was about. Frankly, I don't even know what it was about myself. So to the best I can tell, it was about a customer that didn't pay his bill. And we did what everybody in this group would do. Our attorneys filed a lien. Florida has you enforce that lien with intent to foreclose. Apparently, he didn't like that. So made all types of public claims after showing up to my office on his Harley, intimidating my team. Since he had connections to law enforcement, as if we all hadn't heard that before, he brought in a cheaper bid after the job and threatened us to beat it. Our attorney said that that's blackmail. It's actually interesting that the competitor he brought the bid in from seems to know more details than I do. Do the math. We aren't out of business. Nobody got arrested. There aren't any state agency allegations. Nobody accused us of anything. We are further booked out for January than we ever have been. Sure, sales are a bit more challenging, but it's 50 degrees in Southwest Florida. So not going to read the post or the comments from the 2 weeks I took off because our industry turns ourselves against ourselves. Instead of lending a helping hand to people that need support, to this minute, nobody has asked me what actually happened in real life or in this group. But that's okay. Natural selection is a real thing, and we get a second chance, knowing what I didn't know 5 years ago. How to build teams, how to build KPIs. We have a map. We have the infrastructure. Our industry boxes our minds to be small, so small, so small to think that an event like this puts you out of business. If you think what we did was special before, well, if you actually know me, you know the lion that's inside me. Except this lesson has taught me to respect greatness. I thought I did, but I didn't. This isn't the end. This is a needed event for where we are going. These are skills we need. I have a burning fire brighter and hotter than ever before. So that was his post in his group, and I think it's great. And I do also agree that I think that this type of stuff could happen to anybody. Everybody's looking to sue or bring down somebody that's doing well, whether it's our industry or any industry. But I think it's great that he's got the fire lit in his belly and he's ready to go tackle it on, and he's doing good. So what do you think, Gil?
Sorry, I have my mic turned off. But yeah, no, I agree, man. And first of all, I want to say that Mr. Bruno Lewis, man, I would love to have you on here, sir. I mean, you can come on here and state your story. I know we're not some massive podcast to the nation, but for our industry, I would love to have you come on here and give your side of the story. We have only covered this story because just because people want to see about it. But I agree, man. I think that it is awesome for him to come out like this. He's not running and hiding. He's coming out and saying, A, B, C, D. And like we said, it's a shitty situation. Me and Kelly are not, the jury, the judge, or the executioner. So we're not here to do that. We've just been trying to cover the good and the bad. It does look, and especially things look worse than they are sometimes at the beginning when you see all the cops and carrying stuff out of his office. But like he says, if no accusations, no charges have been filed, nobody was arrested, it's just an investigation, we really don't know what's going on. So the fact that he's continuing to run his business and doing what he has to do, man, I mean, more power to
Yeah,
him.
and I'd love to have him on the show. He's really brilliant. Like he's a really smart dude. I've caught a couple of his Facebook Live videos, and I love listening to him because he's a sharp guy. He knows his business. So yeah, might have to reach out to him, see if he wants to come on.
Yeah, he's
Oh
definitely a
yeah,
smart guy. I've seen some of his videos too. I mean, the guy, I mean, let's be honest, whether people want to say that he's ripping people off or doing shady stuff, regardless, you don't build a $25 million business if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I'm sorry. Scamming people or something like that is only going to take you so far. So, I mean, the guy's obviously a smart guy and he knows what the hell he's doing. But I will make this comment. I'll see what you
yeah, yeah,
agree, Kelly. I mean, I'm pretty sure you will agree with me. But I don't care what size business that you have. I don't care what business you're doing. If it's a customer service business, it's all the same. When the customer stops becoming the top priority, you're on a path to destruction. Some paths take longer than others, but once the customer stops becoming, the most important reason of why you're doing what you're doing, it's always going to lead to problems.
yeah. I agree, but I also I gotta say that I'm small minded because the type of growth that Lewis has had in 3 years, I just watched one little YouTube video where he was talking about, or he was on a radio show or something where he had grown to 25 million in 3 years. That is unbelievable to me. Like that's just my small mind having a hard time wrapping itself around that. And so I think he's right. I think a lot of us are small minded, and I think that that's great that he pointed that out. But it's also one of those things that a couple of bad apples can ruin the bunch, right? I mean, and we've all, if you've owned a business or you've been in a business, you've seen whether it was you who hired them or a manager that hired them, or if you're just a coworker that's working, you've seen some bad guys come into your organization that got hired, and then it can take a little bit before they start actually like fucking shit up and start spoiling the whole bunch because of their attitude or their practices, or what they're doing within the business. So it can happen to anybody. I can 100% see that, and it can cause a lasting effect, and it can be damaging, damaging to the point where you have to go through something what he's going through. And we could all make the exact same mistake. So I just wanted to say that that's one of those things that, boy, have I made some hiring mistakes in the past, and I would have never have known it. You can talk to somebody 2 or 3 times, and it can take 6 months to really figure out who they actually are. So I'm glad that he's moving forward with it, and I'm glad that he's back on track and on the path to getting where he wants to go. And I can only assume he's got huge plans, and if that's true that he's up to 25 million in 3 years, I can't imagine where he'll be in 3 more years. So good for him.
Yeah, I
Yep.
agree, man. More power to him. I hope this all gets resolved and it ends up coming to find out that it was just one bad apple and it's not as big as it was made out to look. But I guess you just have to wait till the investigation is done and see what comes
Yep.
out. But I do agree this can happen to
Yeah.
anybody. So you definitely gotta, before you're, the pot calling the kettle black, you need to look in yourself and just realize, like, fuck, what if this happened to me?
Just like we were talking earlier about criticism, my first instinct is I feel like I wanted to criticize him. Oh, well, there's something going on here and blah, blah, blah. And that, shame on me. Shame on me for criticizing in any way. I don't think we did it or came across that way on any of the podcasts where we've talked about this story. But if we did, I
No.
apologize. It wasn't on purpose. And but we naturally want to criticize, just like the couple of guys out there that criticize my YouTube videos or whatever. Once in a while, I get some guy who comes on there and calls me an idiot, and that's fine. That's fine. But it's easy to criticize. So stop it. Not until you can actually go in and do what he's done. You really don't know. You don't know the extra risk that they're taking every day. The more customers' homes that you go to and visit, the more risk that you have.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't think that I don't think that we said anything bad at the beginning. We were just reading
Sure,
facts that they were saying, and we made sure that we said we don't know if any of this stuff is true, and we made the same comment that we are not the judge, jury, the executioner. We're just
sure.
reading what we're seeing. So yeah, I don't have a really opinion one way or another because we really don't
No, we don't. We
we
don't
really
know
don't
all
know
the
anything yet.
facts.
We know supposedly, yeah, we know supposedly what people are saying, but I mean, we don't know. So that's why I said before, you just have to wait, see how it turns out. This could all be a big misunderstanding, or somebody could have did something really bad and they're going to get in trouble. We
Yep,
won't know until we find out. So I'm not going to condemn anybody. I'm not going to be that ignorant to do that when
yep,
I don't
yep,
really
yep,
know.
yep, yep.
But uh, let's uh, let's get going here,
Let's
man.
do
So
it.
we don't have too long of a podcast. So let's make some money.
Now, here's Go Make Money with Kelly McKay.
What's up, guys? First off, I just want to say that when we say guys in the podcast, we're really talking about everyone who does listen. We're talking about the ladies and the gentlemen. So don't think that we're just being chauvinistic and only talking to the gentlemen who listen to our podcast. So, what's up, guys? Means everybody.
Wieners and
Yes.
vaginas. Sorry.
So, I want to talk about the dreaded shit sandwich. Now, if what I'm talking about here is whether you're the CEO, president, or the boss, or the manager, or a director, or a team leader, you've probably delivered a shit sandwich before because that's what's out there. That's what's being talked about. And let me explain a shit sandwich. What it is you have somebody who didn't follow a process or who did something that, requires being written up or talked to. So it might sound something like this. Hey, Gil, I appreciate how hard you've been working, and I just want to thank you for that. But I want to talk to you about following our process. The reason we have the process is because we have to create a repeatable experience so that our customer feels appreciated and so that we do the best job for them on every occasion. I've documented 2 different times over the course of the week that it was clear that you didn't follow the process. So for the next 3 weeks, I want you to debrief with Rick, after every call. So that way we do our due diligence, ensure customer satisfaction, and eliminate unnecessary callbacks. Okay? Okay.
This is bullshit. That's not
Yeah.
true, man. See,
I've
I'm just
written you
kidding.
up and I need you to sign right here showing that you understand and that you're going to correct this from here on out. But now I do want to say, I want to also say that you're doing great on installations, man, that you've been involved on. So, I mean, they're clean looking. You've been doing the quality control checklist. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to make sure that I told you just how much I appreciate you for that. So that is a shit sandwich, fellas and ladies. It's one of those things where every book on dealing with people and management and conversations with coworkers that I've ever found always teaches the shit sandwich method. But what it really does is it creates confusion in your coworker's mind and it doesn't serve them at the highest level. So, how do we correct this? And here's a way that I've recently learned, and it's a testament to being a strong leader. First, I would ask, what does leadership mean to you? And I want you to think about that question. And if you're like me, before I started reading about leadership, you're probably going to have kind of a difficult time defining the term leadership. So I went ahead and looked up the definition of leadership, and it says the action of leading a group of people or an organization. And John Maxwell, who has written probably 50 books on leadership. One of them being the most popular, the 5 levels of leadership. He says that basically leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Now, how I can agree with both of the definition and John Maxwell's definition, I would say, they're both true, but to me, it still leaves you wondering what exactly is leadership, because influence is something that is a deep, deep topic. And there's different methods and strategies and ways to gain influence. And same with just the flat out definition, the action of leading a group of people or an organization. That leaves a lot out as far as like how to lead. So, although both statements are true, it still leaves you wondering, what exactly is leadership? So here's my definition. I would call it building trusting relationships and serving others in order to help them get what they want. And of course, you need influence to do this, but what's going to create the most influence with others? Helping them get what they want. So, with a new perspective on this, if I'm serving my team every day with encouragement, knowledge, and respect, then I can throw out the shit sandwich when a problem arises, which is like our earlier conversation about not following a process. Instead, we could just get straight to the point, because you got to remember, on a day-to-day basis, I'm serving on my team. I'm serving my team. I'm giving them encouragement, giving them the tools and the training that they need to do their jobs properly, and giving them the respect that they deserve. So that earlier conversation of the shit sandwich may sound more like this: if I am actually leading every day with my team. Bob, on 2 occasions, you didn't follow the process. Here's what we're going to do for the next 3 weeks to get back on track. We're going to debrief with Rick and let him know that you followed through on every call. And after those 3 weeks of consistency, we won't require the check-in anymore, and we'll move forward and put this behind us. Just need you to sign right here that just shows that you understand, and let's go crush it today. So as you can see, that's clear, straight to the point. There's no confusion. Bob knows that this is the problem. Here's the corrective action that we've decided to take to get you back on track. And it basically eliminates questions and gets rid of the confusion of the shit sandwich. So, with this method, there's basically no confusion. It's straight to the point. And if you serve your team members every day, they're going to appreciate eating this instead of you trying to force feed the dreaded shit sandwich. Do you have any thoughts on that, Gil?
No, I agree. And I also like how you did a proper shit sandwich, because when you have to do those kind of situations, it can't be just tearing somebody down. You're an awful piece of shit. You fucked up. Like, hey, man, you didn't do this. You fucked up. I'm writing you up. Bad, 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 bad. That's how you're going to reduce the morale, But if you see how Kelly said, he told him what he did wrong, how they're going to correct that problem, and then immediately said, but you've been doing really good on installs, man. I really love the way they look.
I don't know if I'm cutting out real bad on you or not, but that's I don't want you to deliver. That's called the shit sandwich. And that's what the bottom line is. If you're telling people how good they're doing and praise them when they're doing good jobs and they're taking care of the customer, and you do that on a daily basis, you serve your team, then when it comes to a corrective action and a conversation that has to be made, you don't have to deliver the shit sandwich. You can just get straight to the point, and that eliminates confusion. Because if I tell you, Gil, gosh, man, I just don't know how we could do this without you, Gil. You're great. But hey, listen, you keep doing this over here, and I don't appreciate that. We need to fix that. But keep doing the rest of everything you're doing, because you're doing a great job. That's confusing. That's flat out confusing. And a lot of times when you leave a meeting like that, as a boss, a director, a manager, you're not going to get the outcome that you were looking to get. Basically, the correction's not going to be made, because they're like, well, I'm doing all this other shit good. So if I could probably just keep doing what I'm doing and not worry about it. So that's what my point is stop delivering the shit sandwich. Yeah,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sorry, it was a little bit of cutting out, but no, that does make sense. And I guess that where that could be confusing, but I mean, to my point though, I guess a little different. But I agree if the morale and the way everything is normally, that it's good, you're praising people and stuff like that. Everybody has a good relationship that you actually have that relationship with your employees, and then when something does happen and you need to do that they respect you enough, like shit, for him to come say this to me. I'm really doing something wrong, kind of deal. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's one of those things where I look at serving. That's with my definition of leadership. It's about serving my team. Period. That's where I'm at as far as my HVAC career journey, ownership. Like I want to serve my team. Do I get to serve every single one of my team members every single day? No. But I try to make a point to serve at least one or two every single day in one form or another because I want them to grow. And I do respect and I appreciate and love these guys, you know? So if I serve them every day, then it makes it when I do have to have a conversation with somebody, and it's not always me delivering the conversation. It's a lot of times my general manager. But the more we praise and appreciate our coworkers, the easier those conversations are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, and nobody ever likes doing that kind of,
Oh no.
you don't like having to do that kind of stuff, but it's kind of it's a nature of the beast. But it's also, I mean, and I agree with your definition of leadership. It's being able to do a whole bunch of things, wrapped into one where, you need to be able to lead, teach, motivate. It's a big task, but I guess I'm drawing a blank on how I'm trying to say it. Um, but I mean, obviously I agree with everything
It's hard.
that
It's
you
hard to
said.
define. Leadership's really hard to define.
It is hard to define because the fact that people do it in so many
Yes.
different ways. You're gonna find a whole bunch of different managers who get the job done. Their guys love them, but it's not like there's a handbook that says if you do this, this, and this, you're gonna be good. Because personalities are different. It's all different. But I do think it all comes down to the morale and the standards and how that the company is run and how the processes are put forth about how you do everything day in and day out that really come down to that foundation that you have of how people are there. I guess and an owner or a boss has to have that respect. However they gain that respect, whether it's how they run the business, how they treat their employees, whether the employees see them doing things and stuff like that. If you have that and you treat people in a respectful manner, when you have to go deliver that bad news, most normal guys are going to understand. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, you're going to get that bad egg that's going to be all defensive, but for the most part, it
And
works out good.
yeah,
Um,
chances are the bad egg, is probably not a fit for the team ultimately.
True.
But you got to do the process. You got to have you got to do the verbal warning. But although we say verbal warning, there's still a write up that's attached to that. And then we have to do the write up, the written up warning, and then we have to do suspension, maybe a day or two without pay. And we have to follow a process. That way, for one, we don't get in trouble with our local state or government on employment laws. But for two, so that we can honestly say and have documentation that we tried to make this work with this particular employee.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean you have to. I mean, and everybody makes mistakes. Like we always say before, everybody makes mistakes. It's just you don't want to keep making the same mistakes. That's the biggest part. And like Kelly said, I mean, these all businesses have to have, processes and the way that they do things to make it. I know some guys try to fight that, but that's what makes it simple so that everything kind of stays smooth.
It
Um,
goes back to, yeah, you're gonna want you want whatever message that your boss is trying to tell you. You just want it direct, don't you?
yeah,
Do you want me to sandwich it up in a shit sandwich? And you'd rather just have me come out and say, look, yo, you're not coming up to par on this. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. And let's go have a good day today. And we'll just move forward from this. Would you rather have me say that, or you want me to beat around the bush and feed you a shit sandwich? And then you come out thinking, well, I'm doing all these other things great. Why is he fucking just picking out on this one thing? You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes perfect sense. And like I said, I was wrong earlier. But I know that I've done that. I've had that in the past where you go in and you're all chumming with the boss and you're talking about this and talking about that. And then you get to the end and it's like, oh, you sign this and you leave there thinking like,
Exactly.
what the fuck just
Exactly.
happened? Like, was that good? Was that bad? I'm not quite sure. So yeah, that does make
It's
sense.
just like firing. If you had to fire somebody, would you rather say, would you rather have a long drawn out and with a bunch of adjectives about how, you know, look, we appreciate you and you've done so much for us, and I wish you the best. I just want you to know that it's not personal, or would you just rather have somebody say, look, Gil, it's not working out. I apologize, but we're gonna have to let you go. Like, I'd rather just give me it. Don't beat around the bush. Don't give me a bunch of sympathy and empathy. Not that we don't have that for our people, but it's always best to just get to the point.
I agree. I mean, and depending on how the person reacts to it. I mean, I like to be short and to the point. The person's like, shit, okay. Then you just kind of let it go. But if you get one person that starts to like get emotional, like, what am I gonna do? And all this other stuff, that's when I might make a comment, like,
Absolutely, yeah.
if you
I mean, we're all
find a
people.
job, yeah, like I'll be more than happy to give you a good review. You just, it just wasn't the right fit here. But if I can help you out in any way that I will, blah, 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 just to try to something like that. But I agree. It is better to be direct and to the
And
point.
you can do it in a nice manner. That's not rude or demeaning or anything. Just get straight to the point. Always have a with any write up or verbal, written suspension, any step of whatever your process is, always have a witness in the room with you. And sometimes you might need that if you got some guy that's just totally not a fit, and you write him up or let him go. I mean, he may fly off the handle. So it's better to have somebody with you, just for your safety, for the company's safety. You just never know how people are going to react to bad news, because some people are just clueless as to why. They think that they've never done a thing wrong in their life, and they're typically victims. It's always somebody else's fault, and these particular victims, if something happens and you have to let them go, it's best to have somebody in the room with you.
No, that's a good idea. Just because you never know what's going to happen. Even if you have like a clerk, a secretary, somebody in there just as a witness or
Yeah,
something
it
like
doesn't
that.
matter who, just as long as you got somebody that witnesses how it went down, what was said, and that way you're just covered. You're safe and you're covered.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and that's a shitty part having to fire somebody, but like we all know, it's just part of the
Yep.
process. It has to happen. And like you said earlier, because when you hire somebody, you might not know for 6 months that they're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just it's
I
easy
do
to
know what
put on that facade for a little bit.
I know exactly what you mean. So
Yeah, it's funny. Uh that was a good topic, man. Definitely. And whether you're the one giving that talk or getting that talk, it's just a little insight on both sides. I mean, obviously for the managers, supervisors, owners, giving that talk, just a little way to increase it, make that make that situation a little bit better for you and your team. And if you're ever getting that talk, it just makes you understand, what the fuck's going on in that situation. That you're not high low, high low, high low, and you get out and don't know what the hell's going on.
and
So
leadership, I think it all boils down to leadership. And I look at leadership as I've read and learned more about it, because it's such a deep topic. The more I read and learn about it, the more I think it's action. Leadership is an action. And so it's something that I put on my to-do list every day. Serve my team. And like I said, I can't serve everybody every single day, but if I can serve a couple of guys each day, then I'm doing the best I can with what I got as the company grows, So it's something to consider. And if you're performing leadership the way I think it's probably meant to be as an action item, then anytime it's time to have a difficult conversation, it's going to be a lot easier because you can just get to the point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%.
Let's
All right. Now we're looking on time. We're gonna move on. I have a little brief topic that I want to talk about tonight. That both of us can chime in. So
do it.
here we go.
Now time to say what with Gil Cavey.
What's up, guys? So this is I'm not going to go in depth in this topic because I'm just going to keep it very vague because it applies to so many different things. But I see guys ask a lot of different questions and stuff, whether it be air conditioning, heating, boilers, what have you. Um, to all the guys learning, okay, what you guys need to master is the sequence of operations on no matter what you are learning, okay? You have to know how this thing works before you can fix it. I mean, you need to literally master them, know the ins and outs of how this piece of equipment works. And then the other thing is guys, read those manuals that come with things. I know we all think it's, we're men and we don't need to read directions and stuff like that, but especially in some of these furnaces, like the installation instructions, if there's a lot of times that guys call me and they ask a question and I'm like, did you read your installation instructions? No. I'm like, read it. And then if you still need me, call me back. They don't call me back because there's info in there that's gonna answer those questions for you. So I just want to tell all these guys a tip that when you're learning, and another thing is, guys, Kelly has a course for some of this stuff, which is basics for learning the sequence of operations, and we'll let Kelly talk about that here in a minute. But some of you guys, I think you're trying to get too far ahead of yourself in your learning, and you need to start by just learning the ins and outs, the sequence of operations of how something works, and then build on it from that. I feel like some guys are just trying to get too far ahead of themselves, and it's great that you're eager to learn. Trust me, that's a good thing. That's not bad. But when you start to get ahead of yourself and you don't have that, and I've said this before, and you don't have that proper foundation to build on, that you're kind of dooming yourself. I won't say his name, but there's a guy that works with me that he's a smart guy. He really has so much potential in this trade, but he goes on every call thinking it's like it's going to be some disaster. The compressor's shorted. And I'm like, no, man. I'm like, when you go there, I mean, just start with the basic stuff, I mean, is the thermostat calling? Do you have 24 volts? Do you have high voltage? You know what I mean? Before you go there and you start to get all in depth and thinking it's going to be some catastrophe, it might be one of the calls that the fucking switch is off, and you're going to sit there and start trying to check wires and opening this up and looking at that when you didn't have to.
I'm glad you
Go
brought
ahead,
this
Kel.
up because this is something that I recently had a deal within the company that was pretty disappointing to me, but we've overcome it and we've moved on and it's all good now. But it's just about fundamentals, guys. I mean, we had a packaged heat pump system that kept tripping on high pressure, and it all boils down to just you think because it's a packaged heat pump system that it was charged right from the factory, right? I mean, we all would assume. And how often is it not charged properly from the factory? Probably not very often. Oh, is it a
A lot.
lot? I mean, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I know most of the time we don't have issues with it. But this particular one, it was just flat overcharged from the factory, and because we assumed that it's charged properly from the factory, we weren't checking the pressures. We were overseeing the fundamentals and looking deeper into and trying to find a worse problem than what it actually was. And this is something that happens to us all. We've all been guilty of this at one point or another, especially when it comes to things that you don't quite understand. I know too many times guys go out to calls and they see this big cluster fuck of wires, and and then a huge control board in some unit, and they immediately think, oh, it's probably the control board, because that's like the most difficult thing that this particular problem that's happening could be. You look at the most difficult things, but if you always start in it helps to know the sequence of operation, but you should also have a sequence of performing your troubleshooting and follow that same sequence every single call that you go out on. And what you're going to find is 9 times out of 10, you're going to catch it as long as you follow the same sequence every time. Stop diving into calls into the most difficult area of a particular system and just start with the fundamentals and just do it every time. And if you stay consistent with that, you're going to be a killer technician. I mean, a killer technician, because a lot of us don't do this every single call.
Yeah, that you don't want to
No.
prejudge. Don't try to, before you get there, don't be like, oh, it's probably this. You don't know. You haven't seen it yet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Go there, make your assessment. And like I've said, really for air conditioning and heat pumps and so forth. I mean, obviously a furnace is different because you know the problem's inside. But when the customer's like, oh, the outdoor unit's not running, it's outside. You still go inside, check the thermostat. You still check, because you go straight outside, you start putting your gauges on, and come to find out, oh, the pressures are fucked up and the filter was dirty. So we've always talked about having processes and stuff in place, just to keep a guide. But the reason I brought this up is just I've seen some things where I don't know how to say this. Guys, don't try to act like you know more than you do. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I know when you're a younger guy and you see these other like lead technicians and how they're able to do their job 90% of the time and they just knock it out. They just know what they're doing. It comes easy. But what you don't know is it probably took that guy, you know, 10, 15, 20 years to be able to do that. That's not something that happened overnight. And I see a few young guys, and this is personal, that I see a few young guys that, they get on their own truck, they're riding around, and they get in front of that customer and they don't ever want to say they don't know something, and they take themselves down a rabbit hole, and then the customer calls in like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Or their pride, they're so afraid to ask a question. Like I tell my guys, do not be afraid to call me. I'd rather you call me and I can help you get through something, rather than you sit there for 3 hours, make more of a problem than it is. Customer's pissed off and I still got to go out there or something. So guys, don't be afraid to say you don't know something. I don't know. You can go ahead, Kel. I'm trying to think of a situation and how to explain it the best way. I'm just trying to
It's
figure out how to
just
do
one
that.
of those things that if we skip the fundamentals, that's the best thing I can tell you as a service technician, a service expert, is to always just stick with the fundamentals, no matter what. And what I mean by that is every call you go on should be looked at as a preventative maintenance call. Whether you do all the actions like pull the blower, or clean the evaporator coil, or do the all the little specific things that would probably be add-ons, but you need to look at the whole system as exactly what I just said, as a system, not just one component, not just the indoor portion, not just the outdoor portion. Look at it as a system, as a whole system every time. And then you can make recommendations and give options to fix these problems that you found. But if you approach every single call as a maintenance, it's going to serve you well, because you're going to catch things that other people are they got their blinders on. They're going in, they're going to say, oh, the igniter's bad, and replace the igniter. But then they failed to see that the temperature rise is way too high because they have a dirty evaporator coil. They're going to fail to see that the blower's dirty, or that the connections on the control board, they have one loose connection, or the thermostat wire was shoved in too far, so it was actually on the sheathing of the wire. The screw somehow has made a good connection for a year or two, just being smashed through the sheathing instead of actually a true solid connection. So that's why we got to look at every single thing on every single call. And if you do that, guys, you'll be a superstar technician always. Now, I cover things in my course from, just making a splice, a wire splice. Like, I want it done a certain way. And as long as you do it the way that I learned how to do it, which is what I teach, it's going to serve you well. I promise. One thing that I have noticed if you go to www.hvacserviceready.com, there are 2 pages to that website. So I've seen a couple of people buy HVAC Service Ready, the program, which is fine. It's pretty much the same monthly payment as the rest of it. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the landing page, when you first get on the website, there is a second page. And that's the page that I want you to click over to and look at the technician's membership or the business owner's membership, because those are going to be, you're going to get a lot more as a package deal than just buying one particular program. So be sure to check that out. And I cover all of that stuff, cover sequence of operation, and everything that we've been talking about here, from the bare basic to a lot more complicated scenarios. So guys, just stick with the fundamentals, stick with the basics, and it will serve you so well. You won't get callbacks for a loose connection. You're not going to get callbacks for skipping over something that you normally would have done if you were there and just focused on a preventative maintenance.
Amen, man. Because there's nothing worse when you get those calls. They go out there and, $1,200 for cleanings and other stuff. When they call back 2 days later, I just paid your guy $1,200 fucking dollars, and now my system's not working. And you go out and it's something stupid. So definitely take your time, guys. Master the basics before you do anything. Check out Kelly's course, guys. It is really good. For you guys needing to learn the basics, you're not going to be able to go to a school or something else and be able to get the information you're getting in there for what you're going to pay for it. So definitely check that out. All right, Cal, I guess we won't keep this one too long.
Yep.
Since we were kind of longer last week. So let's go ahead and close it out, my friend.
Okay, guys. Hey, be sure to check out the next week's podcast, because it's no secret that recruiting for service experts in the plumbing, HVAC, and electrical companies it's extremely important, and it's one of the most difficult skills to master. So if you're needing to find experts so that you can scale and grow your business, you're not going to want to miss our guest on next week's podcast, Mr. Patrick Long. Patrick owns BizPal, and he's going to be sharing tips, hints, and secrets that he's learned from helping contractors recruit so that they can actually grow their business. At Patrick's company, they also provide ride-along sales coaching, business coaching, and remote sales coaching, and automated solutions so that you can get more done each day, and automating recruiting, which is so vital to be able to scale your business. We're super excited to have him as a guest. And like I said, I please don't miss it. It's going to be a great episode. But guys, I want to give a shout out first, just a thank you to each and every one of you guys for listening to us. We greatly appreciate it. Please share this with your friends, download it, share it, so we can keep getting the word out and sharing as much as we can with everybody. We hope our goal is to only serve you by giving you some of the knowledge that Gil and I have learned through the years. So I want to give a big shout out and prayers and thoughts out to Mr. Michael Lee. I know Gil's probably going to say something about this too, but I can tell you, Mr. Lee has never said a bad word to me on whether it be my YouTube videos or any Facebook groups that I've started. He's only been supportive, and he's going through a really rough time now. Got kind of a bad diagnosis from the doctors the other day, and so please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And we're wishing him the best and hope he can recover from this. And he's just a wonderful human being. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate him. And I know a lot of you guys out there feel the same way. He's done nothing but be giving to our industry and to individuals. He's a very loving, giving man, and I'm wishing him the best. And he's definitely in my thoughts and prayers. So thank you, Mr. Lee, and wishing you a speedy recovery, sir. Guys, thanks again for listening, and no matter what, go out there and make some money.
Yeah, man. Kelly, I'll start off with that. Yes, guys, Mr. Lee got some a bad diagnosis where his cancer is spread, and the cancer hits close to home to me. Mr. Lee is an awesome man. He really is. Ever since I got into the, I guess you so-called spotlight by doing YouTube or doing a podcast, whether I was with John or now with Kelly. Mr. Lee has always supported me since day one. He's always been there to defend me and different things, and we've just gotten to know each other. And he really is. Once you get to know him, he's a great man. And I hate that he's going through this right now. I fucking hate it. So guys, if we can send our prayers and love to his family, Mr. Lee, Mr. Michael Lee, and his wife. I forget, I say her name wrong again. What's it, Kelly?
Charla.
Charla, that's what it is. Charla. Miss Charla. It's horrible, but guys, he's an old timer. He's an old time HVAC, was doing this before half of us were thought of. So let's just take a few seconds, man, to give him our prayers, and let's hope that God can take care of him and make this okay. But moving on with that, man. Guys, I thank you as always, man. To our loyal subscribers, listeners, you guys are awesome, man. We appreciate you so fucking much that we just can't thank you enough. Like Kelly said, we have a great episode next week coming up. You definitely need to check it out. We have some guests lined up that are slowly starting to get booked. This thing's really taken off that you guys are going to like. So you're not just listening to me and Kelly yell at each other, every week. We're in the works that we're finally getting some more sponsors on board. We have another one that hopefully we're going to be able to announce here soon. And that's also, we think that's going to be big. It's something you guys all know. And I think you guys are going to love it. So we are trying to do things behind the scenes. We're trying to keep this thing growing for you guys, being able to give you as much information as possible. But obviously without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. So I will, you know where to find us, man. All the podcast apps, we're on Apple, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. You guys can always email us at any time. If you want to get in touch with us, guys, the easiest way is just go to our website, okay? www.hvacuncensored.com. You can email us straight from there. We're slowly adding things on there. The sponsors will be linked. You can go link to the sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to grow that website. Other than that, I will stop rambling. Guys, remember, always make it home the same way you left, guys. Be safe when you're out there. Remember to set yourself apart. Do what the next guy's not doing. Those little things are what's going to make you stand out from the guy that came before you. All right? Until next week, I love you fuckers, and I will see you all later. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.